Hello, hello, hello. Karen of Karen Shier Coaching here. I want to talk to you about an important topic, I think, today. And I'm talking about 6 ways to stop people pleasing and start shining your light. Would you describe yourself as a people pleaser? Does it drive you crazy when you feel the need to make other people happy and comfortable at the expense of your own happiness? In this video, I'm going to share 13 negative effects of people pleasing, along with 5 journaling prompts to help you become aware of your people pleasing tendencies and what you can do about them. And then we're going to talk about the 6 small steps you can take to transition from the role of people pleaser to self-lover, putting your life, your happiness, your authenticity, and your self-love first so that your light's going to, again, shine brightly in the world and you won't feel invisible anymore. Let's first talk about this common descriptor and what it means. What does people pleasing mean? People pleasing often results in prioritizing the needs of others over your own needs, often at the expense of your own well-being. It often happens when you want to avoid conflict or criticism in a relationship or another person with work or with a family member or in other social settings. A people pleaser is often engaging in these activities to gain approval, acceptance, and to just get that approval and acceptance from something outside of herself. On the other hand, people pleasers are often regarded as kind and helpful and approachable, the kind of people that you want to be around. And that's not really a bad thing, is it? Well, the short answer is it can be when it rises to the level of sacrificing one's own well-being and happiness for others on a consistent basis, and for the wrong reasons. For example, becoming a rescuer, or you're seeking approval or acceptance outside of yourself. You feel like you need that approval from outside of yourself because you don't feel that approval inside yourself. And that's when it becomes damaging. And to me, this distinction is of simply being kind from your heart to another human, which is a really good thing, versus being kind because you're seeking love and acceptance from those outside of you. When you're doing that, you're disempowering yourself and you're dimming your own light. So don't feel bad if people pleasing feels like a label for you too. It was for me, for sure. And I read about a study in a book called Worthy by Jamie Kern Lima that stated over 50% of women describe themselves as people pleasers. And more than 70% of women say that they go to extreme measures to avoid conflict. And close to 70% prioritize others' needs first. And did that really ring a bell for me? I spent decades of my life, starting in really early childhood, unknowingly in this role. And I've really had to work hard to undo my people-pleasing tendencies. But I first had to learn what it looked like. For me, my people-pleasing tendencies likely arose because I was a kind-hearted and likable kid. I felt a very low self-worth and self-esteem as a child, and through much of my adolescence and into adulthood. I was at peacemaker. I didn't like conflict. I experienced and I feared rejection. I felt I didn't fit in. I sought out approval in all that I did. I wasn't confident enough in my own abilities that I would seek approval from others, instead of just trusting my own intuition. My inner critic's whisperings also perpetuated these tendencies because I didn't know the tools to strengthen my self-worth, my self-love, and to stop that cycle. I just didn't know. The quote from Jamie's book that really hit me between the eyes is, "I want to be loved more than I want to be me." Oh my, that certainly has some resonance for me. How about you? Do you feel that way? I also began to understand some of the negative effects of people pleaser and what that experience might include. And the first one is sacrificing your own need and desires for the other person. And when you're engaging in people-pleasing activities or actions, you're dimming your light to your greatness. You're sabotaging your self-confidence, your self-esteem, and your self-worth. It also it has uh, um, an effect on our health. It increases your stress level, tension, and it ends up causing resentment or your feelings of not being appreciated for what you do. You kind of become invisible. You'll also find that you are living inauthentically. And I liken this to faking it or pretending to be something that you're not on an emotional level. And you're showing up as you think others want you to show up. You're not showing up how you want to show up. Often, people pleaser has difficulty advocating for themselves or setting boundaries or saying no, that doesn't work for me right now. People pleasers tend to engage in patterns of self-sacrifice or self-neglect, and you find yourself constantly apologizing or taking blame, even for things that you don't do or that you didn't do, and you just kind of want to keep the peace. So it's easier to apologize or take the blame. And when that happens, you're in that people-pleasing role. You might be agreeing to activities or situations that you don't like or that you don't want to do. Or you have this deep sense of guilt when telling others no. Another thing that creeps up is fearing rejection or fear of upsetting others or that feeling of walking on eggshells around them. I know when I was a little kid and all growing up, I always felt like I had to walk on eggshells around other people because I didn't want to upset them or disturb them or set them off. And what tension is that, you know? So I became a people pleaser because I didn't want to upset other people around me. You tend to have a preoccupation with what other people around you think. And often they're not thinking about you, but we have this preoccupation that they are. And finally, the last one is you have difficulty with making independent decisions. You're always seeking other approval or opinions, and you might fall into playing small. You might not put yourself all out there because you're kind of worried about what everybody else is going to think. You're worried about their approval. It makes it really difficult for you to shine your light when you're doing the people pleasing role. Now, I want to move into 5 journaling prompts. These will help you discern if you're regularly engaged in people pleasing activities that could be harmful to your well-being. So pause the video, grab a piece of paper and write these down and really think about them. The first one, number 1, are you doing things for yourself? Excuse me, are you doing things for another that you wouldn't normally do for yourself? Number 2, is whatever you're doing for another leaving you feeling exhausted, resentful, unfilled, or unseen? Number 3, are you doing something for another with the underlying purpose of being liked or accepted by her? Is that why you're doing something for another person? Number 4, are you acting in a way in situations or around others that doesn't feel authentic to you or makes you sad or angry or unsettled in some way? It just doesn't feel good. And finally, number 5, do you hear yourself apologizing often or taking blame for things that aren't your fault? You know, for girls and for women especially, I think we fall into that apologizing a lot. It's become kind of a societal norm in a lot of cases. So if you find yourself apologizing a lot, especially for things that you didn't do or you don't have control over, or just to make the other person feel better, then you're probably engaging in people-pleasing activities. So the short answer is this: if you answered yes to any of these questions, you may be a people pleaser, and it might be something that you need to work on. So the good news is that if you often engage in people-pleasing tendencies that are, let me remind you, detrimental to your own well-being or causing you to feel empty or resentful or invisible, here are the 6 ways that you can stop the people-pleasing and start your healing journey of self-pleasing and self-loving. And this is not selfish. This is self-care. In my opinion, this is imperative to live our best selves, to be our best selves, to put ourselves out there, take care of ourselves first, and then be kind to others after that, right? Be kind always, of course, but we have to take care of ourselves first because we're going to show up the best way in the world if we do that. So the first one of the 6 is remember that you're never, ever, ever going to be able to please everyone. And it's not your job to do that. So don't get caught up in trying to please everybody and make them comfortable because you're just never going to be able to do that. It's just not possible. The number two is learn to soothe your inner critic's whispers that may be likely perpetuating your people-pleasing tendencies. If you're not sure how, I have a free e-guide. You can grab it on my website. I also have the link to it in my show notes, and it's called 3 Ways to Soothe Your Inner Critic So You Can Hear Your Inner Wisdom. And it comes with some journal prompts. It comes with a conversation around this. And soothing that inner critic does take a lot of work. So if you're not quite sure how to do it, grab that guide. I think it'll help you. The third one is set some healthy boundaries. Practice saying no, or no, that doesn't work for me in this moment. If you have someone that is always calling on you to help them out, maybe you've kind of allowed them to do that, but maybe it's at a time that doesn't work for you. It's okay to say, you know what, I can't go do that for you now, but how about on Tuesday? I have some time on Tuesday I'll set aside for you. That's setting your boundaries. Or if it's someone that doesn't, or something that you really don't want to do, it's okay to say no. Sometimes we rescue people too much and we become the people pleasers. And so it's okay to say no. It's healthy to say no. Set personal boundaries because it's so important in everything you do. Number 4, spend time alone with your thoughts often. I want you to reconnect with and listen to your inner wisdom, the messages that you hear from your heart, your intuition. And you're going to know these are thoughts that are coming from your intuition because they feel right and they feel good for you. And sometimes we can't hear our intuition. We can't hear our inner wisdom because there's just too much chatter around us. So we need to take that time to just kind of go inward, whether it's take a walk, or maybe you like to journal, or just spend time in nature, or go read a good book, but just allow that time for your mind to settle down, for your heart to come through, and listen to that inner wisdom, recreate those connections. Number 5, I want you to go inward and figure out your why. What is it that you really want? What lights you up? How is it going to make you feel? And then focus on your goals and priorities on your own personal vision so that you can shine your light again. What is it that you are here to do? This is a great tool that I use in soothing your inner critic when it tries to pull you back into a negative space, is to go back in. You figure out what your why is and you stay true to that. I actually have a document that I share with my clients that kind of works them through this activity. And it's really powerful because when that inner critic chatter starts up, you go back to your document and you remind yourself of all the reasons and all the goals and all the purpose that you have. And it's a wonderful way to remind yourself and learn how to quiet that little inner critic down to say, no, 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 we're on a different path. You're welcome to come along, but you don't have a vote in this. And finally, I want you to always remember number 6, you have the power to choose always. Tune into how each decision that you're facing feels to you. If it doesn't feel good, then it's not a right choice to make in that moment. If it does feel good, you know it's coming from your heart, and follow it through. This is going to put you on your path back to your self-care and your self-love. My friend, you are worthy. You're infinitely loved just as you are. Worthiness is deserved. It's your birthright. You do not need to seek others' approval for your worth. You are perfectly designed, and you were put on this earth with a great story of your own to tell and a bright light to shine outward. Start becoming a self-lover first and live the authentic life that's truly your own, and you'll find great joy and happiness. I promise you. And when you find yourself slipping back, and you will, we all do, just use the tools to conquer your people-pleasing habit. Use the journal prompts, all the things that we talked about today. Use those tools. I believe in you. I see you. You've got this. Have a wonderful day, and I hope this was very helpful. I welcome your comments. Have a good day. Bye for now.